She sat low in the driver's seat, one hand steady on the wheel, the other cradling a decoy phone. The sun was starting to dip behind the homes of Savannah, Georgia, casting long orange shadows across the Sandfly neighborhood. To the casual eye, Kesha Delaney was just another woman in a rental car, maybe waiting on a friend. But this wasn't social. It was surveillance. Her eyes were fixed on the cream-colored house at the corner. Porch lights off. Blinds drawn halfway. 2 cars in the driveway. No movement for over an hour. According to her informant, the suspect was inside. Armed. Paranoid. Dangerous. Kesha's orders were clear: confirm visual. Do not engage. Wait for the call. She had no badge, no visible weapon, no backup. Just nerves honed by years in the field and a cold coffee she sipped for focus, not flavor. The street was too quiet. Even the sprinklers had stopped. Kids were gone. Silence blanketed everything. Until the dog barked. Kesha glanced left. A woman in her 50s stood in her front yard, shielding her eyes from the setting sun. Her small dog yapped at Kesha's car like it had found a threat. The woman stared. Kesha didn't blink. She'd seen that look before. The one that asked, "Why is she here?" A few steps back, the woman disappeared into her home, phone pressed to her ear. Kesha's gut turned. She knew what was coming. Her countdown began, 1 minute. Maybe 2. That's all it usually took. The voice crackled in her earpiece. Bravo 1, status. No movement. Possible compromise. Neighbor called it in. Roger. Sit tight. You're not cleared to move. Then came the lights. Red and blue strobes washed across the street. 1 patrol car. Then another. 2 officers stepped out. Both white. One younger, already reaching toward his belt. The other older, scanning the neighborhood with deliberate caution. Kesha didn't move. Her hands rested calmly on her lap. The younger officer approached. "Ma'am, you live around here?" "Government surveillance," she replied evenly. "Can't answer questions." He blinked. "You got ID?" She slowly produced a laminated federal credential. It wasn't labeled CIA, but it was real. On assignment. Not permitted to disclose. The older officer stepped forward, his tone more official. "Mind stepping out of the vehicle?" She hesitated. Leaving the car meant losing visual. She tried again. "You're interfering with a federal investigation. Call this in. Ask for Deputy Director Leo Evans. Echo 93 Delta." The older cop paused. He moved to his radio. The younger one didn't wait. "Get out of the car, now." Kesha didn't move. "You're making a mistake." He yanked open her door. Out of the car. She stepped out slowly, hands visible. "Keep your hands where I can see them." "They are." "Turn around." She paused. That was enough. He grabbed her arm, twisting it behind her back, shoving her against the hood. "Hey!" the older cop shouted. "Stand down. I haven't cleared this yet." But it was too late. Her cheek pressed cold against metal. Her sunglasses hit the pavement. For the first time, her full face was visible. Calm. Focused. Furious. "I'm a federal agent. Let me go." "Yeah, right. Funny how that works." The older officer was on the radio now. Speaking low. Urgent. Something had clicked. Across the street, the neighbor watched through her blinds. Her hand covered her mouth. Her son peeked beside her, wide-eyed. Kesha sat cuffed on the curb. Her eyes still locked on the target's house. A curtain moved. He was watching her. Then, the sound of tires screeching. An unmarked SUV roared into view. Out stepped Leo Evans. Tall. Stern. Furious. He flashed a badge. Release her. Now. The younger cop stepped back, stunned. Did she show you ID? Evans barked. Yeah, but she was vague. Acting suspicious. She's a CIA officer. You just blew an op tied to a multi-state arms ring. The older cop looked gutted. Evans knelt and uncuffed her himself. You good? Kesha didn't answer. She was still staring at the house. The target saw me. Yeah, Evans muttered. Whole ops blown. Then the radio cracked. Be advised, suspect just fled on foot, heading northbound toward Truman Park. Everyone froze. Did you see him leave? Evans asked. No. But he saw me get cuffed. That was his window. Evans turned to the younger cop. You parked in front of the target's house like you were delivering pizza. Kesha was already moving. She opened the SUV, grabbed a tactical bag, and slipped on her comms. I'm going after him. I know his face. Stay out of my way. She sprinted through the neighbor's lawn, over a hedge, into the alley. A noise. Trash can. Movement. She crept forward. Then, a blur. A man darted from behind a shed. Stop. Federal agent. He ran. She chased. Not a full sprint, controlled speed. He rounded a corner. She tossed a flash beacon. It burst. Loud. Bright. He staggered. She lunged. Tackled him hard. Try that again, she growled, you'll wake up in a hospital. Footsteps. The older cop. Breathing heavy. You got him. He's not going anywhere. The suspect looked at her. Confused. Bitter. You're the lady from the car. That's right. 10 feet away. Watching everything. And I'd still be watching if someone hadn't thought I looked suspicious. Later, she sat in the back of the SUV. Elbows on her knees. Quiet. Evans drove. You should have pulled rank sooner. Would have blown the op. If you hadn't held your ground, it could have been worse. She looked out the window. I've had guns to my head in foreign cities. But nothing feels like being cuffed in your own country for looking out of place. Silence. I thought we were past this, Evans said. The badge means something. But not to everybody. At the safe house, she poured coffee. Burnt. Bitter. Familiar. Evans leaned in. Want me to file a complaint? No point. It'll be buried under procedure. You okay with that? No. I'm just used to it. You ever think about quitting? She nodded. Every time something like this happens. But if I leave, who takes my place? He sighed. That's why I stay too. Then a junior agent ran in. Holding a folder. We found something. From the laptop. Evans flipped through the pages. His face changed. Blueprints. Targets. Churches. Schools. One address, a church where Kesha's godson was baptized. Her voice caught. Worse than we thought. Evans nodded. If you'd left when she called the cops. They'd have moved everything by morning. Silence again. But this time, it carried weight. A near miss. A close call. Kesha rubbed her bruised wrists. 5 minutes from being another headline. Evans looked at her. Instead, you saved lives. Across town, the two officers reviewed their body cam footage in silence. Green finally spoke. I didn't see her. Just someone in the wrong place. Didn't even ask. That's the problem, Mason replied. We didn't ask. We just moved. At her porch, the neighbor stood still, tea untouched, watching her son ride his bike. Mom, is that the lady from yesterday? She didn't answer. Just stared toward the horizon. She was protecting us. And I called the cops on her. Back at the safe house, Kesha stretched. I've got a flight to D.C. Evans looked at her. You sure? You cracked the case. I've done my part. Time to pass the baton. As she walked to the door, he asked again, you ever want to stop doing this? I wouldn't blame you. She smiled faintly. But if I did, who takes my place? And with that, she stepped into the fading evening. No more sirens. No applause. Just her. A woman mistaken for a threat, who ended up saving lives. Because sometimes the person you fear is the one keeping you alive. And sometimes the hero isn't the one holding the gun. It's the one who stayed calm, stood firm, and never stopped doing the right thing, even when no one believed her. If you've watched this far, ask yourself. Who do we protect, and who do we protect against? Speak up. It matters. Kesha didn't sleep that night. She lay on the cot in the back room of the safe house, still in the same black slacks and combat boots, her tactical gear laid out on the table beside her. The overhead light buzzed softly. Outside, the city slept, or at least pretended to. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the look on the neighbor's face. Fear. Discomfort. Then shame. And underneath all that, fragility. A fragility so many people wrapped in privilege never had to confront until it was too late. Kesha sat up and opened her agency-issued laptop. There was more to do. The folder the agent had brought her earlier now sat fully open in front of her. Photographs, comm logs, maps. Dozens of rural storage sites. Shipment logs. Anonymous transfers. The same suspect she'd cuffed earlier had been working within a broader network. Selling weapons to domestic cells planning coordinated strikes. But what caught her attention was the pattern. Every target had something in common, they weren't random. They were churches with predominantly black congregations. Elementary schools with immigrant-majority student bodies. LGBTQ+ centers. Libraries with diversity programs. This wasn't just arms dealing. It was terrorism. Disguised as patriotism. She felt the pressure in her chest return. Leo walked in, rubbing sleep from his face. He had that familiar disheveled look, a man who hadn't rested well in years. The kind of tired that sat deep in your bones. Couldn't sleep either, he asked. Kesha shook her head. Nope. He peered over her shoulder. They weren't just stockpiling. They were preparing. Coordinated attacks. Symbolic targets. This is bigger than we thought. You think they were going to hit all of these at once? That's not how they operate. They want fear to spread. Hit one target, create chaos, inspire copycats. We've seen it before. Leo sighed. And I bet you this is only one cell. Kesha pointed to a photo, grainy CCTV footage from a storage unit in rural Alabama. He's not the top. He's middle management. Maybe lower. There's someone else pulling strings. So what's next? She sat back. We need to roll this up. Not just him. Everyone connected. Leo walked to the coffee maker. It groaned in protest, overworked and undermaintained, but it still gave them the bitter sludge they depended on. I'll make a call to Langley, he said. But they're gonna want someone to lead the field team. Kesha raised an eyebrow. You volunteering me? He shrugged. You already cracked the case. She took a sip of coffee and stared out the window. If I do this, I need full autonomy. No second guessing. No desk jockey breathing down my neck. Done. And I choose my team. Leo grinned. Already knew you'd say that. By sunrise, she was airborne. Private jet. No logos. No flight path shared. 2 agents sat in the rear, both silent, reviewing the new intel packet she'd assembled in under 4 hours. Her next stop, Kansas City. A warehouse flagged by the Bureau months ago but never followed up. The suspect had made 3 cash payments to the property manager using aliases now linked to known militia forums. The jet touched down on a private airstrip outside the city. They drove straight to the site. The warehouse was unassuming. No signage. Just rusted fencing and a single surveillance camera mounted above a steel door. Kesha stepped out, gloved hands gripping a small case that held a portable scanner and a custom flash drive. Stay outside, she told the agents. If I'm not out in 10, call it in. Inside, the air smelled of oil, sweat, and old lumber. It didn't take long. In the back, under a tarp, were crates. Marked fertilizer. But one had been pried open. Inside, assault rifles. Homemade explosives. Tactical vests with Confederate patches sewn crudely over the fabric. And then, something worse. A blueprint. For a courthouse. The date written in the margin, July 4th. Kesha took photos. Scanned the files. Transmitted everything back to Evans. He called back in under 2 minutes. That's next week. You think it's real? I don't think they put Confederate patches on their vests for theater, Leo. That night, they set up surveillance. Kesha camped in a motel 5 blocks from the warehouse. The FBI was preparing a coordinated takedown, but she knew better than to wait. So she made a call. To an old contact in Atlanta. A hacker she'd once spared during a sting on cryptoterrorism cells. He owed her. I need access to a message board. Dark web. Username, Flagbearer27. I think he's the recruiter. That guy. He's been quiet for months. You think he's back? He's not just back. He's organizing. Within 2 hours, she had access. Dozens of messages. Encrypted, yes. But not invincible. She decrypted 3 in the motel room using a custom script. It confirmed her worst fear, they weren't planning a hit. They were planning multiple. And they had help. One message mentioned a sympathizer embedded in law enforcement. Kesha froze. This wasn't just fringe fanatics. This was an infiltration. She knew now, this case was bigger than anything she'd handled overseas. Bigger than tracking foreign terrorists. This was homegrown, deliberate, camouflaged under flags and slogans. And no one was ready. But she was. To be continued. Next part will follow Kesha through the raid on the warehouse. Exposing the law enforcement mole. A national press moment where the truth nearly gets buried. A pivotal showdown where Kesha confronts one of the movement's leaders face to face. Let me know if you'd like the continuation now. The full rewrite to 20,000 words will continue from here, deepening the emotional and political themes, and showing Kesha's ultimate decision about whether to stay, or walk away. Want me to keep going?